73.6% of all statistics on the internet are completely made up, which is why in this video, I'm going to tell you only the truthful 49%. For example, 10 out of 9 doctors agree that Susong is best girl, and 0 out of 10 herdas have kuru their last kuru. Anyways, what's my next line? Today I wanted to talk about this very late stuff. Basically, I had like 5 videos planned around Jing Yuan and his banner, but like Susong trying to carry this really big sword, I can't. But in the meantime, I did still want to talk about this because I feel like it's important enough to warrant a whole video. And this is about Jing Yuan's banners, his light cones, and the 4-star light cones on the banner, because I don't think enough people are putting a focus on this. There's some light cones in here that are just absolutely broken, and there's also some characters on this that are broken. And you've probably already heard about the characters, but I really want to talk about the light cones today. About Jing Yuan's banner in particular, you guys probably know this, but if you're newer to the game, I'll break a little bit of this down for you. So March 7th is a really good character. Susong's a really good physical pickup, but Jing Yuan is basically a character that you're going to want on your account regardless of the status, because she's probably the most broken 4-star in the game, and she's going to buff the ever-living heck out of any character you play her with, including Jing Yuan. So if you pull for Jing Yuan, you absolutely need Jing Yuan, and I would argue that you need Jing Yuan no matter what. Now with that said, I don't recommend pulling for 4-stars on this if you're trying not to ruin a guarantee that you have, but if you're on 50-50, I don't personally think it hurts to try to go for Jing Yuan. I believe that every single person can benefit from 50 energy back and damage bonus, and can benefit from a huge attack buff, and can benefit from the sight of a fox lady. She's very cute. Jing Yuan's banner has basically mega value, right? And this guy, Jing Yuan himself, is honestly a lot better than people are giving him credit for. Basically, people are calculating that, oh, Sila is really good, and Jing Yuan is not as good, so therefore, Jing Yuan's actually shit, which is not exactly how math should work. I personally think he's a pretty strong unit. Whether or not you want to pull for him depends on if you're going to pull for Kafka, in my opinion, because both he and Kafka are going to be AoE lightning damage units, and that could decide who you end up pulling on in the long run. But I don't think he's a bad unit to pull for. I'm definitely not going to say you should absolutely pull for Jing Yuan, but you should absolutely attempt to get Jing Yuan if it's not going to cost you a guarantee, because his character is actually game changing. But as I said before, what I really wanted to talk about in this video is the light cones, because this is something that I think is getting slept on by a lot of people. Now, plenty of people have talked about before dawn, but just in case you were wondering if his light cone is worth getting for him, yes, but also not necessarily for the reason that you might think. The real reason you want to get his light cone is because he's gorgeous. The real reason you want to get his light cone is because it has so many stat boosts on it. 36% crit damage unconditionally, increases the skill and ultimate damage by 18%. For a lot of characters, your skill damage is going to be a majority of your damage. And then follow-up attack damage up by 48%, which is crazy on any character with follow-up attacks. But the benefit of this isn't even specifically for Jing Yuan. Sure, this light cone is amazing on Jing Yuan, but this light cone is also amazing on any erudition character in the game at the moment. The reason being that there's not a single erudition light cone that provides crit damage or crit rate. Well, there is one, but it's conditional. So let's go over these. Let me just show you. So you have ultimate damage on Make the World Clamor, which is great. And Genius's Repose does give you crit damage whenever you defeat an enemy. And the crit damage is actually pretty significant, and at high level, that's a lot of crit damage, right? But this is a 4-star gacha cone, and it is conditional to get the crit damage bonus. So there's that to consider, but it's honestly pretty good. But Seriousness of Breakfast is going to give you damage bonus, and it's free, and you can get a lot of damage bonus from it, which is great. Birth of the South is follow-up damage increase. Today's Another Peaceful Day is insanely good value on most erudition characters because of the damage bonus and the high base attack. It's just a really good light cone. Sagacity's attack passkey is going to be some energy back, and Databank is going to be ult damage. And then on top of that, Night of the Milky Way is going to be some damage dealt increase and some attack up, which is pretty good. But the point that I was making initially is that this one increases your crit damage unconditionally. The only other light cone that does that is Genius's Repose, which is going to be conditional. It's going to require you to defeat an enemy. Now, with that being said, that is not impossible to do on Jing Yuan. Jing Yuan can defeat lots of small squishy enemies in different waves, and you get the crit damage for 3 turns, so it's actually good for him and for a lot of other erudition characters who can deal AoE damage. But the point that I'm making here is not only do you get a bunch of crit damage for absolutely free, but you also get skill and ultimate damage bonus, and you get follow-up attack bonus if your characters are going to use that. Basically, this is a giant stat stick. It has higher base attack because it's a 5-star, and overall, this light cone is going to be just absolutely absurd on every single erudition character because it makes building crit easier, and it also is going to give you damage bonus anyways. Overall, you don't actually need this cone for him, but if you do happen to get this light cone, you can use it on him, and you can also use it on any other erudition character, even if they don't have follow-up attack. Still, this damage bonus and this crit damage and this base attack are going to be absolutely massive for most characters, and it's an amazing light cone. Now, I will say, with all of that said, it's possible that other future erudition characters also have cracked stats. Maybe one will come with crit rate, and that'll make it also easy to build crit on, or maybe one will will come with just a ton of damage bonus, more than today's Another Peaceful Day. Maybe one will have even better base stats. We don't know, and for that reason, I'm not going to say you absolutely have to pull for this light cone, because you don't. If you have Battle Pass, you can get today's Another Peaceful Day, and that's a super solid option for most Erudition. Genius's Repose is also going to help you build some crit if you're in AoE combat, which Erudition really do excel at, and there's lots of good options for your Erudition characters. My point is that this one is just universally a good light cone, and definitely the best Erudition cone in the game at the moment. So if you're looking into pulling for his light cone, you can pull it for him, but also consider that you can use this on other Erudition characters, and it is still incredibly valuable, similar to Sila's light cone on Hunt characters as well. But on top of this insane 5-star, what I'm not seeing a lot of people talk about are the 4 stars on this banner. Something that a lot of people miss is Planetary Rendezvous, and I know some people have already made videos on this light cone and how broken it is. Basically, it says upon battle entry, if an ally deals the same damage type as the wearer, damage dealt increases by 12%. This is worded horribly. This is like you spit something through Google Translate like 6 different times in different languages and then spit it back out in English, and this is what it came up with. I'm not sure why it's worded this way, but I can confirm that this works on every character that deals the same damage type. Think of it this way. If you give this light cone to Jing Yuan, then all of your lightning damage dealers are going to deal 12% increased damage. That is 12% damage bonus. If you get it to S5, that is 24% damage bonus on all of your lightning damage dealers. For Jing Yuan in particular, this means that when you're playing Jing Yuan with him, which you should basically always be doing, you're getting an unconditional 12% damage bonus to him, which is a lot of damage. On top of this, if you're going to use this on Jing Yuan, it has 19 attack at level 1, 423 at level 80, which is the same as Dance Dance Dance. Now, when would you use this over Dance Dance Dance? Honestly, there's a lot of theory crafting involved in figuring out which is going to be better. Generally, Dance 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 sees more value the longer a fight goes on because you have more opportunities to use your ultimate and shift actions forward. But the best case for running this is actually in double harmony. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's say this is my Jing Yuan, because I don't have Jing Yuan. Actually, let's say this is Jing Yuan. She's AoE and has bright hair. You guys get the point. So let's say we're running double harmony. This could include Bronya and Jing Yuan. By running Bronya and Jing Yuan together, I can give Bronya Dance 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 if I don't have our signature light cone. And this will make it so whenever Bronya ults, we still get the action forward. And then I can give her Planetary Rendezvous, so that way she is able to give that lightning damage bonus to our really totally awesome real Jing Yuan. This means you're getting a ton of value out of these two characters for simply having them on your team, not counting their support capabilities. And that is absolutely amazing. Planetary Rendezvous is going to be an amazing cone for the entire game's lifespan because the damage bonus that it gives just for simply existing is way too good. And as we see a harmony unit introduced for every single element, this will find a lot of value in monotype teams, but also in any teams where you have a hyper carry and 2 harmony characters. Oh, and I just want to add, if you don't have Bronya, you can play Asta here instead. Give her Dance Dance Dance. The same thing applies. But Planetary Rendezvous is not the only good 4-star on this banner. You also have Only Silence Remains. Now, Only Silence Remains is a bossing light cone. It increases your attack by default, which is pretty good, and if there's 2 or fewer enemies on the field, increases your crit rate. This crit rate increase is pretty significant, regardless of it only looking like 12%. 12% crit rate is a lot for something as simple as having 2 or fewer enemies on the field. And if you get S5, 24% crit rate is actually an insane jump. The benefit of this is that for characters that are good at bossing, which is Hunt characters in particular who are like really good at high single target damage, this light cone is great, right? Because anytime you take them into a boss and you've cleared all the adds out, you're going to have this crit rate unconditionally. And on top of that, it has decent base stats. It's not going to be top end base stats for a 4-star, but it's pretty solid. And you're getting a big attack buff and you're also getting big crit rate buff just for using this against bosses. As a free-to-play player, this is a solid hunt option. If you are not using Cruising on the Stellar Sea, which is the free-to-play Herda Shop light cone, if you already have that occupied by someone else maybe and you're doing Memory of Chaos, this is a great secondary one. And actually at S5, look at these stats. These are absolutely amazing. And this is actually a super solid light cone that I don't think enough people value. It's really good. And then lastly, we have day 1 of my new life. And not only is this art absolutely triple S tier, but look at this effect. Increases wearer's defense by 16% after entering battle, increases damage resistance of all allies by 8%. I don't think a lot of people realize how much this is. Damage resistance is absolutely huge. Specifically, I want to compare this to We Are Wildfire, which is one of the free-to-play cone options. We Are Fire Wildfire will reduce the damage dealt to all allies by 8% for 5 turns. Now, think about this. 5 turns, right? 5 turns is honestly a pretty long time, and you can finish up a lot of battles by then. But when you get to harder content against bosses, this damage resistance disappears, and this cone becomes almost useless after those 5 turns. The difference here is that day 1 of my new life is going to give you that damage resistance the entire time. Now, you cannot stack this, unfortunately, but you can get this huge defense bonus on your character that's preservation, which will help them increase the size of their shield if they have one, maybe some of their damage if they have defense scaling, and that damage resistance is going to save you in some of the hardest content in the game. And if you S5 it, 24% defense, 12% damage resistance, this is going to be an absolutely insane light cone. Take a shot for every time I've said insane this video. I know it sounds like I could be hyping up these cones way too much, but I cannot stress this enough that if you're just looking for a solid Air Edition weapon, or if you want to grab this for your Jing Yuan, these light cones you'll get along the way are mega value. And in my opinion, even though all of these 4 stars are great, and collecting all the 4 stars in this game is going to be really important, especially for your account in late game, Jing Yuan is basically a must-have. The other 2 characters are just good to have, but these light cones can be beneficial across your entire account for most of the characters that they fit into the category of. And this game isn't like Genshin Impact, where you have a 75-25 and a 50-50 to win. You either get this light cone or you don't, right? So I'm not going to say everyone go pull for this light cone, because if you're free to play and you're saving for someone like Kafka or something, obviously you don't want to blow all your funds like I had to do for literally 1 copy of Jing Yuan. But I do think not enough people realize how good value this banner is. And I usually do banner reviews early on, but I was just so focused on the Jing Yuan guide that I didn't really have time. Anyways, that's basically it. Susong's best girl. If you're confused on if these light cones are good, they are very good. I cannot stress that enough. So throw Planetary Rendezvous on your Jing Yuan. Consider using the Hunt cone if you already have your cruising on a different character. And if you want the Air Edition cone because it's absolutely insane, definitely go for it. And yeah, Susong best girl. I don't know how many times I've said that this video. 14.6% of players don't know this crazy secret. All you have to do to do it is subscribe down below. Just subscribe. I'll catch you later, gamers.